What are we doing? How are you doing?
Yeah.
Video?
Yeah, just relax.
Woo!
My audience. Okay, here we go.
You can take a slice per dummy and then put them like that.
Oh, you doing a presentation?
Yeah, yeah. Y'all just sit and relax. Y'all can eat. Okay. I believe. Yeah, actually, yeah. Let me try that off. Yeah, it looks better. Okay. I believe American football is the best sport in America. I want to start with a quote by the great coach, Vince Lombardi. Vince Lombardi says, "Football is like life. It requires perseverance, self-denial, hard work, sacrifice, dedication, and the respect for authority." Football is the greatest game to be played. The violence, the strategy, the sheer intensity of football. I love it, and as a former player, there's nothing that beats the feeling of putting on that helmet and going to war. As a fan, there's nothing better than watching the world's top athletes play. I know firsthand what it feels like to have a cheap helmet, and that is why I decided to dive into the evolution of the football helmet. My head still rings from some of those cheap helmets I used to have. That styrofoam, it was no good. Okay. The first football helmet. Although there's no documentation on the first football helmet, it does date back to 1869, where George Rose Barclay wore the first helmet. It was a strap supported by a chin strap. This would be known as the first chin strap, and he designed this helmet specifically to protect his ears. Kept getting hit in the ears, so some people don't give him credit for having the first helmet. Some people give Joseph M. Reeves full credit for making the first football helmet. Joseph M. Reeves was a Navy midshipman, and after receiving too many hits to the head, a doctor told him, "Hey, look, if you keep getting hurt, you will die." And instead, Joseph Reeves said, "I'm gonna keep playing football." So he went to a shoemaker and got him to make this moleskin cap, which he continued to wear. By 1917, Rydell and Spalding introduced the ZH leather helmet. This would become the Leatherhead era. Only about 50% of players would wear this helmet, but this is the design right here, and this is kind of the iconic photo to reveal the Leatherhead style. The cons to that helmet were poor padding, poor ventilation, and even making it almost impossible for players to hear each other. This helmet would be a staple throughout the 1920s. Although injuries did continue, by 1935, Vern McMillan introduced the first face mask on his helmet. This would protect from flailing body parts and even intentional punches from hitting in the face. And by 1939, Rydell would step in with the plastic helmet. This would revolutionize the helmet game. Plastic was stronger, it was lighter, it was more durable than those leather heads. By 1949, Rydell introduced into the NFL the plastic helmet, and it would become a requirement, officially ending the Leatherhead era. That same year, a player for the Los Angeles Rams would draw logos for fun. He ended up producing one, which he gave to the owner, Dan Reeves. Dan Reeves approved and would be sporting the first logo on the helmet for the Los Angeles Rams. Plastic helmets were a staple throughout the NFL. Pretty sure we're all old enough to see some of those helmets still, maybe not. 2006, 7, were you born?
1980.
By 1956, a radio transmitter was even introduced into helmets by coaches John Campbell and George Charles. In order for substitution to be a little easier, instead of running, they would take receivers and they'd run them on and off the field constantly. Hey, go tell blah, blah, and they'd run back and forth. Radio transmitters introduced didn't work too well, but it was a shot. Injuries were still very prevalent. It wasn't until 1986 a new material would come into play called polycarbonate. This material was even stronger, more durable, and even lighter than the plastic helmet. And by 2002, the helmet would be revolutionized, introducing the Revolution helmet. After 25 years, the helmet finally changed shape and look. Players like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, and James Harrison would make these helmets iconic. Today's helmets still use a polycarbonate outer shell. Inside, now they sport shock absorbers and compression shocks to help reduce impact on blows. And in between those two materials, there's a polyurethane and nitrile padding that actually helps the helmet shift and move on impact and allows it to return to its position, further reducing concussions. Face masks today are even coated with G17 powder coating to further reduce the impact. Although major advancements have been made on the football helmet, there are still injuries all over the field. Every year it is recorded that around 300,000 per year are football-related concussions. Recently, an NFL study shows that there's a 25% reduction since 2018 with these new helmets. In order to increase the potential to reduce the helmets are now being fitted with shock data loggers and shock detectors. These will actually tell players and coaches if a player might have sustained a concussion over impact. Although they don't prevent concussions, they will tell you about, hey man, you might need to sit down, you know? Even in practice, they're wearing Guardian caps that further reduce concussion on top of these new helmets that they're using. The helmet has made strides in innovation, and today you can see all that work and effort has been put in to what the NFL knows as the top helmet in the game. The NFL and NFLPA do their annual testing impact. They take an anvil and they hit these helmets over and over again and to see which one takes the most damage or which one takes the less damage, I guess you'd say. And they came up with the Vixis 02R Matrix Trench Helmet. George Kittle wears this. I think somebody else, I already forgot. But it's a big helmet, it's nice. There's the graph, you can't really see it, but the Vixis has 4 other brands of that helmet and they're all at the top of the list. In conclusion, football is awesome. The helmet epitomizes football. It shows you the brute force that the game revolves around. And I feel like the best quote to end this is by Hall of Famer Brian Dawkins. He says, football is a game of Football is a game of controlled anger. It is a game of retribution. It is about will. Thank you.
Woo!